the weather forecast with Coloca and its multipurpose banquet hall, Il Palazzo.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the weather forecast. Very excited we are stepping into the new year, 2020, together. We will between tonight and tomorrow morning have a calm weather condition across the nation with temperatures between 9 to 25 degrees, with the highest in the far north at 14 degrees, 15 in the north and 23 degrees in the center region. The highest in the south will be 25 degrees, 24 in the littoral, 14 in the west and the southwest region would have the highest temperature at 21 degrees. Over to the Adamawa region this evening is a 0% chance of precipitation, and same thing by morning with Banyo and Tikye having the lowest temperature at 15 degrees. Over to the east region this evening, we have a 0% chance of rainfall, and by morning we will have predominantly 20 degrees with no precipitation. And in the northwest region this evening is a 0% chance of rainfall as well, and same thing by morning with Fundong having the lowest temperature at 11 degrees. Why not make our time to go see what the Tungo waterfall of Babanki looks like? Thank you for watching and Happy New Year.
Coming up tonight, President Paul Biya has pledged to continue improving the living conditions of his people and to crush terrorism. Right ahead, reactions from the regions. Cameroonians have largely spent the first day of 2020 in their homes as streets and popular spots receive very few clients. The population says it was due to hectic crossover ceremonies. Meritorious staff of Cameroon's defense forces have received new epaulets. Defense Minister Joseph Beti Asomo chaired 2 ceremonies in the South region. The details right now. Thanks for watching the 7:30 news on CRTV. I am Moki Edwin Kinzeka in Yaoundé. President Paul Biya says he will continue to improve the living conditions of Cameroonians, push forward the economic growth and stand up to the security challenges in the northwest and southwest regions. In his end-of-year message to Cameroonians, President Biya announced better days ahead in spite of the challenging socio-political and economic environments. Kilian Dandifon listened attentively to the president. His report.
President Paul Biya, in his New Year speech, addresses 3 main issues: the social progress, the economic growth, and the preoccupying security problem in the northwest and southwest regions.
This major complement to our democratic system is making great strides in its various components, namely education, health, employment, etc., although obviously there is still room for improvement.
President Paul Biya also talks about the economy, underlining that the economic program has been concluded with the IMF, inflation controlled, budgetary and external deficits checked, with public debt within limits. But Cameroon must forge ahead. The third point President Paul Biya highlighted was the preoccupying security problem in the northwest and southwest regions.
Various measures have been taken in recent months to reason with these youth, most of whom have been brainwashed. They have been called upon to lay down their arms, and social reintegration prospects have been offered them.
And to this problem, President Paul Biya said the major national dialogue and the consequent recommendations with bilingualism, decentralization and special status, among others, are measures to remake our country one strong, stable, peaceful, and prosperous.
President Paul Biya called on Cameroonians to perform their civic duties and respect the verdict of the ballot. In a State of the Nation's address, he advised Cameroonians to stop using social media platforms to instigate hate and violence. The head of state also gave advice on the expected municipal and parliamentary elections. Let's listen.
The sole arbiter in a democracy is the sovereign people. When the sovereign people make a choice through free and fair elections, and the results are proclaimed after review of petitions, such results must be recognized and accepted by all. Neither the social media nor news outlets can change the outcome of an election. Talk less of illegal protests, violence, and personal or hate-filled attacks. Remember, I once said, let's talk, let's not fight. Such is the behavior of the citizens of a democratic country. Participation in the democratic life of one's country requires compliance with its rules and joining political parties which carry out their activities within the confines of the law. This will be tested during the upcoming February 9th, 2020 municipal and legislative elections. Therefore, I urge all Cameroonians who are registered on the electoral roll to go and vote, bearing in mind that they will be electing the men and women who will translate into reality the reforms desired by the Cameroonian people, notably fast-tracking the implementation of decentralization.
In his New Year message, the head of state laid emphasis on the need to consolidate efforts made to keep the economy sustainable. Global trade tensions should serve as an impetus for recovery in order to improve the living conditions of the population. Clarice Aretakang explains.
Fairly satisfactory, albeit constrained by an uncertain global context, among other things. This is the head of state's appraisal of the country's economic agenda in 2019. Amongst the good points were public and external debt levels kept in check, inflation below the sub-regional community rate, a budgetary deficit under control, and an overall growth rate, perhaps not exceptional, but welcome, given different tensions on the global and regional trade scenes. The impact of the financial and economic program with the IMF was acknowledged. 50 billion CFA francs more disbursed after the fifth review to enable the state push through with fiscal and budgetary reforms. More than halfway through the bilateral partnership, close to 300 billion CFA francs has been made available for the state's coffers. Keeping development on track, building growth-driving infrastructure was a priority which is expected to keep the pace in 2020. The launch of the second phase of the 2035 emergence goal is at stake. Pathways to sustainable economic recovery will be receiving more attention. Second-generation projects will stay in the spotlight, while growing value chains in various sectors is essential, in line with economic diversification efforts, reinforcing existing partnerships with key development players, the World Bank, the ADB, the IMF, and the French Development Agency, amongst others. We must consider such a recovery an overriding obligation, the head of state insisted. Top on the 2020 to-do list of economic targets, therefore, will be to translate rhetoric into work.
One of the issues the president harped on was decentralization as a solution to Cameroon's socio-political crisis. President Paul Biya invited Cameroonians to make good use of local governance procedures and contribute to development of their country. Let's once more listen to the president.
Earlier on, decisions have been taken to convince our compatriots in the two regions concerned of government's willingness to devolve to local authorities the powers that would enable them to play a greater role in managing local affairs. on the 15th of December 2019, a bill to institute the General Code of Regional and Local Authorities was tabled before our two houses of Parliament, namely the National Assembly and the Senate, for consideration in an extraordinary session. Thus, our members of the National Assembly and our senators passed a law with decisive breakthroughs in our decentralization process, notably regarding the status of local elected officials, the functioning of local assemblies, and the allocation of additional substantial financial resources to regions. Concerning the Northwest and Southwest regions in particular, the special status granted them takes into account the specificities of the Anglophone education subsystem, common law, and traditional authorities. My dear compatriots, as you can see, a new Cameroon is taking shape. A Cameroon that is adapted to present times and looks to the future.
In his State of the Nation's address, President Paul Biya had very encouraging words for the military he said had been working so hard to defend Cameroon's territorial integrity. Let's once more listen to what the president said about the military and gave his blessings to them.
The criminal activities of armed groups continue to disrupt public, economic, and social life in these regions. Yet, various measures have been taken in recent months to reason with these youth, most of whom have been brainwashed. They have been called upon to lay down their arms, and social reintegration prospects have been offered them. For those who persist in going down the wrong road and continue to use violence, we will have no other choice than to combat them in order to protect all our fellow citizens. Our defense and security forces will once again perform their duty with restraint but without weakness. I wish to reassure them of my full support and high esteem.
The minister delegate at the Presidential Republic in charge of defense has presided over 2 Epaulet Award ceremonies promoting military officers to higher ranks. The ceremonies in Kiosi and Ebolova ended Minister Joseph Beti Asomo's visit to the South region as instructed by the head of state, President Paul Biya. Albert Njembonde reports.
A defense minister and the entire military high command spending a St. Sylvester night in Kiosi doesn't happen every year, and so the troop of the 13th Motorized Infantry Battalion made it a lifetime event. Surely bolstered by the esteem and support pledged them by their commander-in-chief. Same mode followed the Epaulet Award ceremony this Wednesday, January 1, which crowned the promotion of over 20 commissioned and non-commissioned officers, amongst them 2 colonels.
I'm grateful to God, the mighty, who provided. Grateful to the head of state, commander-in-chief of our defense forces, to the minister delegates in charge of defense, and to everyone and each who helped me to complete this after 26 years of service.
Minister Joseph Beti Asomo also chaired a similar ceremony at the Ebolova ceremonial grounds, with 7 commissioned and 9 non-commissioned officers promoted.
From senior warrant officer to second lieutenant, it calls for a lot of determination, it calls for a lot of duty consciousness, and a lot more.
The separate ceremonies, which put the cap on the minister's 2-day working visit to the South region, was void of any speeches and held in typical military tradition, with both ending with a march past.
Defense forces all over Cameroon have therefore been receiving new epaulets, promoting them to higher ranks. In Yaoundé, a total of 1,120 of them were rewarded for hard work in a traditional epaulet award ceremony presided over by the Secretary of State in charge of the National Gendarmerie, Galaxy Etoka. Details with Elvis Teke.
It was a memorable new year for these personnel of the defense forces and their relatives. They had assembled at the military headquarters brigade in Yaoundé to receive epaulets that confers more responsibilities on their shoulders. To the 315 officers, 640 non-commissioned officers, and 166 gendarmes and soldiers from the rank and file, a new epaulet is a coronation of hard work, discipline, and the confidence of hierarchy.
I'm thanking God for this wonderful day, for this wonderful grade that He has given to me. I've worked for it so hard, and whatever task they are giving to me, I'm up to the task.
The hierarchy give us the opportunity to take another epaulet. It is a good day.
The Secretary of State at the Ministry of Defense in charge of the National Gendarmerie, Galaxy Etoka, presided over the ceremony as a mark of encouragement to the defense forces who have been promoted within the first quarter of the state budget.
When I was a child, it was my dream to become what I am today. I thank God and I thank Almighty.
The ceremony to award epaulets turned out to be a double celebration, the new year and the new epaulets. The newly promoted have taken the commitment to work harder as they serve the nation with honor and loyalty under the national flag.
Let's now continue to get some reactions to the president's message. In Bamenda, many people expressed hope for a speedy return to peace in the northwest and southwest regions after listening to President Paul Biya's end-of-year message. From the governor's residence to bars, there have been varied interpretations of the message, as Winston Leba reports.
In Bamenda, it is customary for the Northwest Governor, Adolphe Lafrique, to watch the presidential address on December 31 in his residence alongside his close collaborators, top government functionaries, and the top brass.
Since he has promised to put all to secure our region, we are going to enjoy a better year in 2020.
President Paul Biya's December 31, 2019 address has been received with differing interpretations here.
He advised our youth to leave the bushes. If not, they will be taken care of by the forces.
We have special autonomy, financial and administrative, meaning that we can go a long way to do our things at the level of the Northwest, at our own level.
After bloodshed, after killings and so on, peace should come back.
The general feeling in Bamenda is one of hope that 2020 will bring good luck to the initiatives geared towards peace and sustainable development in Cameroon, and will indeed be a happy new year.
In the southwest region, many civilians expressed satisfaction with the speech of the President of the Republic, adding that it reassures the population of commitments to bring lasting peace. We have details with Henry McCauley.
Many who listened to the head of state's speech said his address met their aspirations.
The speech of the president was a focused speech. It had clear points. First, security in the northwest and southwest. Second, the economy, and third, the social situation.
Finding solutions to the crisis rocking the two English-speaking regions of the country was also an area of interest.
He talked of what he has done so far, what he expects Cameroonians in general and the Anglophones population, the Northwest and Southwest in particular, to do. He stressed on national unity.
No, it's a welcome initiative from the head of state, which will come to improve improve the lifestyle of the Northwest and Southwest people in Cameroon.
The speech also brought hope to many as far as the economic projections are concerned.
He gave us a reminder of what the government has done in the last 12 months with respect to stabilizing the financial situation, ensuring that inflation is under control, national debt is sustainable.
Generally, many in the Southwest region say they are satisfied with the head of state address, given that he had made key declarations a few months back.
Inhabitants of the far north region have been responding favorably to the measures announced by President Paul Biya to improve the living conditions of Cameroonians in 2020. It is a wish to see Boko Haram terrorism and separatist crisis, which drain state resources, put to an end. Ayuk John Ashu reports from Marwa.
From the top administrative and security brass of the far north region, through the business and political class to the commoner, the head of state's address was followed with keen attention. The pledge by President Paul Biya to reinforce security, especially in troubled zones, could not leave the people out here indifferent, given that the region faces sporadic security challenges.
Here in far north region also, we have some soldiers who are fighting against Boko Haram. It is very important to hear such a congratulation and message of comfort of the head of state.
Meanwhile, the call by the head of state for fair play on the political scene and a renewed spirit of patriotism by all Cameroonians has been welcomed as timely within the context of upcoming political consultations.
The head of state reminds us the importance of patriotism and other values to prevent all negative aspects and to permit us to face these important elections without any problem.
In a region where most inhabitants live below the poverty line, measures announced by the head of state to whip up economic growth and improve on livelihood in 2020 have simply been hailed by the population as salutary.
In the Adamawa region, Governor Kildadi Tageke Bukar sees in the president's message hope for people who have to work together for their progress. Noah Ben Mudika reports.
Despite the socio-political and economic challenges, there are still reasons to believe in a Cameroon which is standing on her feet and resolutely looking ahead.
Speech of the head of state is based on the hope for the Cameroonian, because many domains are taken care of. The social domain, political domain, and security domain. We think all those domains concerns also Adamawa region. The head of state states again that we cannot go for emergency without ensuring a better life of Cameroonian.
And for a new Cameroon which is adapting and resilient, everyone should contribute to their quota, make their voices heard, and help uphold democratic values.
All security measures will be taken to enable each Cameroonian to go free and cast his vote without fear. The population of Adamawa, the voters, February 9th, they should go massively to polls to vote.
With the goodwill of every Cameroonian in and out of the country, it is possible to believe in a better tomorrow which will be able to meet the socio-economic needs of citizens in 2020 and beyond.
The population of the North region received the president's message with a lot of optimism, especially as he laid emphasis on effective decentralization. Wilson Mengole reports that the population also highly await the return to peace in crisis zones.
It was with great expectations that the Gara inhabitants waited for the head of state's message to the nation, a message which they paid close attention to and expressed optimism of brighter days ahead.
The President of the Republic has invited the Cameroonian people to be together for the national unity and for the national integrity.
I'm very happy to hear my president today to speak about difficult in our country.
Others acknowledge the strives made for sustainable peace to return to the crisis-hit Northwest and Southwest regions.
It's an encouraging speech. He tried to talk on most of the aspects concerning the Anglophone crisis in the Northwest and Southwest regions. As the father of the country, he has assured and has called many times for the positive organization of the national dialogue and even the special status.
The people of the North region are confident that in 2020, the pronouncements made by the head of state will be realized.
Christian Kanatumi has called on the population to heed to the head of state's call on them to be peacemakers and agents of development. He was speaking in Douala yesterday, shortly after the president's message. Let's have a listen.
He spoke about things we expected him to talk about. The political situation of the country, our economic life, and security in the country. Those are things we suspected he would talk about. But what interests most English-speaking Cameroonians is what would the president say concerning the Northwest and the Southwestern part of it. There is no doubt that there are people making efforts, even over there, to solve the problem. And I think he implied in his speech that he would like to see them not fighting with arms, but fighting in political parties. But I agree with him. Nobody should accept the violence.
On to other news stories now. 87% or 87 Cameroonian refugees who fled the separatist war or crisis in the northwest and southwest regions of the country to Nigeria have been received back in the nation's political capital. They arrived on board a chartered flight and were received at the Yaoundé-Simalène International Airport by a host of cabinet ministers led by Paul Atanganji of Territorial Administration. Sisako Tamko reports.
An emotion-filled moment midday at Yaoundé-Simalène for refugees and displaced Cameroonians that were fooled by separatists as part of their strategy to gain support for their cause. It was with open arms, words of comfort that 87 of them were received by some cabinet ministers and administrative authorities led by Minister Paul Atanganji. Amongst the returnees are ex-combatants including Success Kongo, the brain behind the first defense group known as Ground Zero.
Prior to the national dialogue, I sensed some high level of sincerity from the part of the government, and I was invited, though I didn't come then. And later on, God has privileged me. Today I'm here with other combatants and refugees, asylum seekers from West Africa. We have come home and we wish to say, please kindly give us another chance.
Hardcore General alias Nambere Leonard, who also believes in the sincerity of the convener of the national dialogue, was touched by the effort made by President Biya to facilitate their return and the deployment at the airport to welcome them.
If I can surrender and say no to fighting, you have right to say no to fighting. Anywhere I stand is a good place. I joined this fight for a better Cameroon, and if the better Cameroon is coming today, I will receive it. I think it's a time for all the other Cameroonians to receive the same peace and understanding which I have today.
Amongst the 15 to 17,000 forcefully misled to swallow the numbers for separatists are children and pregnant women.
I feel so happy to come back to Cameroon. I have experienced a lot of things when I was in Cameroon because of the war. So we ran and go to Nigeria. I just thank God because they want to bring peace to Cameroon, and I'm very happy for that. I want everybody in the forest to come back.
An effort which saw the cooperation of Nigerian authorities and evidence of excellent ties between the two neighboring countries. This is the first phase of official return of refugees and displaced persons, in which several hundred more are expected in days ahead.
In a similar development, 1,600 internally displaced persons in BIYA have received some mattresses, sanitary kits and other basic commodities from the humanitarian aid donated by the presidential couple, Paul and Chantal BIYA. We have details with Tanjon Levis Agbo.
The relief materials from the presidential couple came as a New Year gift to the over 1,600 internally displaced persons in the regional capital BIYA. The internally displaced persons received the items with gratitude, saying it will go a long way to alleviate their plight.
We just thank the president and the wife for the gift because it will help us in many ways, because we have brothers and sisters we are in the bush that will pray that they should come out from the bush and know that this new year we're about to enter will be a great day, will be a year of peace, love and charity.
I thank Papa BIYA and Mama Shanta for the gesture they don't do for we today. We would also thank in behalf of the handicapped them.
The divisional officer for BIYA, Abba Abdurrahman, called on the beneficiaries to make good use of the relief items and equally appreciated the kind gesture.
This is the end of year's celebration, so the head of state, as usual, thought that it would be of very significance for our population, especially those in need, those displaced, internally displaced people, and I think they are very happy, as you can see on their faces.
The humanitarian assistance took place at the BIYA Council Esplanade. The wish of the people is that lasting peace returns to the restive regions.
There is calm and serenity in Cameroon towns and villages on the one of the new year 2020. Just a few city dwellers and villagers could be spotted here and there at public gardens and popular spots having fun. Cynthia Etim captured the atmosphere in Yaoundé and reports that many people were resting after very hectic crossover events.
Calm and serenity characterized the atmosphere in Yaoundé on this first day of the year 2020. Circulation is fluid. Most drinking spots, shops and other business places are closed. Many say city dwellers spent the crossover night busily having fun, and it was time for them to have some rest.
We came from Oja and then we're going there to yes without any traffic.
Town is dry, it will be fine. Enjoy with family.
Since in the morning I always love two people, but I'm still waiting.
Over at the central town, a few families and friends turned out to have some enjoyable moments. In order to immortalize the day, some took souvenir photos.
I've come today with my dad and my family to snap, to look good things and to be happy as a family.
Left over here for some, while those who drank to stupor get paid by nature.
The international magazine Diva has on its 20th anniversary edition honored Cameroon's First Lady, Mrs. Chantal BIYA, in 16 pages, including the cover page. Chantal BIYA is presented as the superstar of the Lyon Summit to fund the fight against malaria, HIV and TB. Emanuela Vemny read through Diva and now reports.
She graces the cover page of the 20th anniversary edition of Diva magazine like a true diva. Cameroon's First Lady Chantal BIYA wears the crown of superstar of the C3 Replenishment Conference in Lyon, France last October. It is the in and out of the First Lady's stay in the French city of Lyon that is projected in the 16 pages of Diva magazine dedicated to her. The first edition of the magazine for 2020 draws the attention of the reader to the fact that despite the presence of a whole delegation from Cameroon to the Lyon Summit, Mrs. Chantal BIYA captured the attention of many with her attribute of special UNAIDS ambassador and continuous efforts in the fight against HIV and AIDS through her foundation, African Synergy, amongst others. Diva magazine then presents tidbits of the 2019 diary of the First Lady, describing it as a year in the service of others. before wrapping up the pages dedicated to Cameroon's First Lady with a colossal list of distinctions to her credit. A quick wave thus to 2019 and a zoom on 20 amazing ladies to watch out for in 2020. Michelle Obama, her First Lady like none other, described as a true inspiration to the Franco-Nigerian sensational singer Asa through the Rwandan Louis Moshikiwabo, Secretary General of La Francophonie, and the list is far from over. 20 years already since its creation, Diva magazine celebrates outstanding ladies in all fields of life.
That ends the 7:30 news, but before we leave you, President Paul Biya has pledged to continue improving the living conditions of his people and to crush promoters of acts of terrorism. We had reactions from the regions in this edition of the news. We also learned that Cameroonians have largely spent the first day of 2020 in their homes as streets and popular spots received very few clients. The population said it was due to hectic crossover events. And military staff of Cameroon's defense forces have received new epaulets promoting them to higher ranks. Defense Minister Joseph Beti Asomo chaired ceremonies in the South region. I am Moki Edwin Kinzaka in Yaoundé. Thank you for watching.